and 3. The 1-0, a line shot to right center field. That splits the outfielders and rolls all the way to the wall. Contreras easily scores from second. Diaz takes his place, and he has himself a 2-out double to make it a 9-6 ball game.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savedich, and I had to kind of redo a bunch of stuff, and I was going to make the pre-game, or the post-game, or post-series preview series all in one with the interview with Ryan Zimmerman, which if you haven't watched, go back and watch that before watching this, or however you want to do it, or in your spare time to go watch that. Very awesome, fun interview with Ryan. Like I said, I can't thank him enough in that aspect of allowing me to be able to interview him and that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that opens the door to other things as well. So I had to redo it. I was like 20 minutes in. I was like, oh, that's going to be a little bit long. So without further ado, here is me talking about the Fargo Moorhead series and so on and so forth, and I had to kind of all loop it together. So, yeah, there you go. Sorry about that. Getting into the Fargo Moorhead series, you know, it seemed like it was a lot of what we kind of saw with Cleburne. Was the I don't not so much like the pitching aspect, but the offensive aspect really wasn't catching fire. I know in today's game, Johan Valdez, you know, he gave up 9 hits and 4 runs, but only 1 was earned. You know, obviously it was a middle of the day game. I wasn't able to really watch it or listen to it, so I can't really comment on what happened in today's game. But in the first 2 games, you know, obviously I think the second game was a lot more manageable to a certain extent. It just kind of, you know, you have, you know, 1 or 2 innings that Edward Cuello kind of the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. You know, looking at game 1, Julio Vivas, he only went 3 1/3 inning, and I think it really was that that third, it's more the 4th inning that really hurt him, that drove him out of the game. It was a lot of, and then Rosario came in, and it wasn't, you know, the best. You know, I just don't think that was one of the highlights for the RailCats, the pitching staff, at least in that game. But throughout the rest of the series, you know, I don't really have a complaint with, especially the relievers. I know Eisenbarger gave up 3 hits and 2 runs, but other than that, you know, there was no one else in the last 2 games that relievers gave up any kind of runs except Jack Eisenbarger in today's game. The bullpen has been solid, I would say, for the better half of a week or more. They were solid against Lake Country, and I would say they were solid against Fargo, and Fargo is a good team. And I just think that the RailCats faced the top of the rotation, so it was just one of those that they weren't going to be able to really get going. But once the starters for Fargo got out of the inning or out of the game, that's when things kind of turned around a little bit. You know, McGovern in the first game gave up just the 1 run in 6 innings, but then after that you tacked on 5 more runs. I think that was game 1. Was the McGovern, and that's their ace, the hole in the one. That's the guy to go to. You know, Dykoff, Jake Dykoff. Doesn't he have a brother that plays? I'm not 100% positive. The last name just sounds familiar, but this was his first official start. I want to say no. I don't know why it seemed like they were saying the start. Because he's pitched in more. I don't know. I may be thrown off a little bit on this one. But even at that, coming off of that game, he gave up in 7 innings only 3 hits, and then the RailCats finally got to Rorich, and that's when the run started to kind of come across on that portion of it. Obviously, they didn't score in today's game. Grauer went all 9 innings. Like, he had a complete game shutout. Which he's probably going to get player of the week. I'm calling it now. I don't know how you don't give that guy a player of the week. But I'm going off on a side note there. It's just one of those that I just think the RailCats ran into a very good starting pitching staff, and they just couldn't get anything going, and that just time ran out on them. And it seems like that's happening a lot this year. Like, I get it. We want the team to fight. We like to see it, but at some point, the fighting has to start earlier. It has to be, I think the Sioux City series is kind of what I expected from the RailCats. That's, they really bunched together and they really figured it out. Coming off a very tough Cleburne series where the offense was still kind of hot. I mean, there was something coming in, then you faced like Country team, which, do I think Lake Country's a good team after the managerial switch? I do, but I think they're one of those teams where the games can it's like almost like a Sioux Falls game. It's just it can kind of just broken open, and you just don't know why it's getting broken open. Like, I just think that the RailCats should have taken at least 2 out of 3 against Lake Country, but yet again, you're going to Sioux City, you come back, you had the day off. Actually, no, you didn't. You didn't have the day off. So coming back, so like the first game, I can understand that. Then having the 12-hour bus ride to Fargo-Moorhead, like that's just kind of a little bit of a rough, patch in between the two. The 2 road series slam, and the home sandwich in the middle, so you don't really fall into the rhythm. Not what they were kind of used to was being at home or being away. Nice little road trip here going to Winnipeg, that kind of stuff. Just kind of looking at overall, Gio Diaz went 5 and 14 innings. He went 5 for 14, 2 RBIs, 1 strikeout, one error. That one, I get why they gave him an error on that one, but it was kind of like it was a in between bounce, and I think they really gave him on the error because he kicked it off of his foot. True error, yeah, in the rules, but when you kind of look at it, it really wasn't. Let's see. Francisco Del Valle went 2 for 12, 1 RBI, 1 double, 1 strikeout, 1 error. Jesus Mariaga went 4 for 10, 1 RBI, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Jackson Valera, this is the first time I actually got to watch him play. He's potential there. He went 2 for 12, 2 strikeouts, 1 earned. LG Castillo went 2 for 12, 2 strikeouts. Victor Nova went 1 for 11, 3 strikeouts. Jose Contreras, first game was outstanding, but he just couldn't get, there was no one on base for him to really get anything going. He went 3 for 4 in the first game, but after that, he went 0 for, he went 3 and 11, 3 strikeouts. Paul Mondesi, that was the first time I got to see Paul Mondesi play, and he's a big boy. I kept saying that. My wife's like, I get it, he's a big boy. The catcher's gear looks small. He only played in the first game, and he went 1 for 4 with an RBI. Daniel, I always say Danielle, and the reason for that is because I had a guy that I worked with, and he it wasn't like a Daniel, he kind of really, and Danielle, like that kind of portion of it. So I go, it's Daniel. He went 6 for 11, 2 RBIs, got hit by a pitch and stole a base. Thomas Greeley played in the last 2 games, went 0 for 6, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Will Decker did not play. Looking at starters, Vivas went 3 1/3 innings, gave up 8 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Edward Cuello went 6 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Today's game, Yohan Valdez went 5 innings, gave up 9 hits, 4 runs, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts. Game 1 relievers, Odie Nunez came in. He pitched 1 2/3 inning with 1 strikeout, and he's looking back. I just want to kind of go off on a side tangent a little bit. Recently, like I said, the last really bad game that he had, but he still went 1 2/3 inning, was against Cleburne. But really, outside of that, the Cleburne and Milwaukee was the only two really rough ones that I would say that he gave up more than 2 runs. There's a handful, but other than that, he's been lights out. He's really I think he's really flipped a little bit. I think he's getting his control. He's getting under control a little bit. He has the speed. I'm really like, at first I was kind of getting nervous about Nunez. He was giving up a lot of runs at the beginning. I mean, the first 3 he gave up 4. Actually, my bad. That was not all of them. Just recently, like I think Lamar's patience so far has been starting to kind of pay off with him. The last 3 games, not giving up, giving up 1 hit in the last 3 games, giving up 5 hits and 4 runs in the last 6 games. The list goes on and on. I think he's kind of starting to turn a corner a little bit, and especially against a Fargo Moorhead Redhawks team that is going to compete for another Miles Wood Cup. I think that's a good turnaround for him. Jesus Rosario, he didn't get a full he didn't even get a third of an inning in. Hit 2 batters, and then Ben Miller came in after him, gave up a hit, which brought him the 2 runs in. He loaded the bases, that kind of stuff. I just, Rosario's command just really isn't there. Yeah, he pitched good against Lake Country, but outside of that, he's giving up in 1 2 3 4 5 6 games, he's giving up, there's only 2 games where he didn't give up a run, and one of the games was a third of an inning, and he gave up a hit in that one. So it's just one of those that the thing is, I really think about Jesus Rosario is his control. He can throw upper 90s, but his control is kind of a little bit out there. And I think if he can hone that in, I think he'll be a lot better, but I just think he's too wild at this moment. So it's one of those, what are you going to do? Ben Miller, he pitched 2 1/3 inning, gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Yet again, really the biggest blemish since King County on May 27th. That's all I gotta say. It's really the biggest blemish. Jared Price I think he had a bounce back game. He had a clunker the last game against Lake Country. But other than that, that's really the only big blemish. I mean, he's given up 5 runs against Cleburne, but only 1 of those are earned. So he's been very solid. So he bounced back perfectly fine. Game 2 was Aaron Phillips. He went 2 1/3, or two innings, gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Lights out as normal. I really think, just kind of little prediction here. I think Chris Irwin, Aaron Phillips, and DJ Wilkinson should all be locks to be in the All-Star. I think Gio Diaz should be a lock. I'm going to put those as lock, but I could really expect to see LG Castillo and Daniel Lingual, as well, be a part of that. Maybe, depending on how Jesus Mario. There's a lot of people that could still be eligible, but I think we're going to see quite a bit of pitchers. I could, maybe you can even throw Jared Price into that one, but I know he kind of came back from an injury sort of deal. But I really think, just looking at those 3, that I would have those as locks. But that's just me. Game 3, Matt Leon went 1 inning, gave up 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. Jack Eisenbarger went 1 inning, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, all earned, 1 strikeout. And DJ Wilkinson went 1 inning and gave up 2 walks. Looking at Winnipeg, they are coming off a series against King County, or not off of a series with Lincoln right now. The game is still in progress at the moment of recording this. It is 4-4 in No. Now it was top of the ninth, and Lincoln's All Dogs are winning 6-5. So that could be they could be coming off a sweep just like the RailCats. So probably tomorrow is going to depend on what we're going to see, who's going to win, who's going to knock off this winning or losing streak. Going off of that, looking here at the last 7 days, kind of looking who's hot, who's not. Kraus, Bockley, just looking at averages, are all above the three. Kraus is at a 429, Bockley is at a 385, Holmes is at a 333, and then Gonzalez is at a 294. Holmes, he only played in 3 games. McCarthy's at a 286. Armstrong is at a 280. And Burgess and Javion Williams are both at 250s on that one. It's nice to see Sherman Graves getting some games in as well. But looking at pitching wise, nothing too crazy-ish on that portion of it. But I would say, we're going to obviously watch out for Kraus, Bockley, and probably Gonzalez and McCarthy-ish on that portion of it. Quick side note, I think Alec Oled still has a grudge against the RailCats for releasing him. That guy played unbelievable in this series. I don't know what he did today. I just think he played, just the reason I made that tweet in the Facebook post, because looking at his batting average before the RailCats game, he was batting like a 140. So and it's not a diss. I think Alec Oled is very solid for Fargo because of his defensive abilities. He is very good in the outfield. He is very, very good. And I don't think, if it wasn't for Jesus Mariaga, I think it would be very hard it would have been very hard to release him, because you knew you didn't have that center fielder that can do it. So when I made that tweet or that Facebook, it wasn't a dish at all. Sorry for the short, quick cut. I was going to try to do a pregame and then do the interview with Ryan Zimmerman, but I had to switch the whole podcast around because I didn't realize how far I went over. So we're going to have probably, when you see this in the order, it's probably going to be the interview with Ryan Zimmerman, and then this is going to come out as a side note to that. So yeah, if you enjoyed the podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Your host, Kyle Smash. Be sure to follow me on social media at RailCats Talk, comment, all that good stuff. So yeah, I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're watching this, and go Cats.